Bengay Corporation v. COA, Supra. Realty taxes are national taxes collected by LGUs. While LGUs are charged with fixing the rate of real property taxes, it does not necessarily follow from that authority the determination of whether or not to impose the tax. In fact, LGUs have no alternative but to collect taxes as mandated in Sections 38 of the Real Property Tax Code. It is thus clear that it is the national government, expressing itself through the legislative branch, that levies the real property tax. Consequently, when LGUs are required to fix the rates, they are merely constituted as agents of the national government in the enforcement of the Real Property Tax Code. The delegation of taxing power is not even involved here because the national government has already imposed realty tax in Sections 38, leaving only the enforcement to be done LGUs. National Development Co. v. Cebu City. Facts: National Development Company is a GOCC authorized to engage in commercial, industrial, mining, agricultural and other enterprises necessary or contributory to economic development or important to public interest. It also operates subsidiary corporations, one of which is National Warehousing Corporation. On August 10, 1939, the President issued Proclamation No. 430 reserving Block No. 4, Reclamation Area No. 4, of Cebu City for warehousing purposes under the administration of NWC. Subsequently, in 1940, a warehouse with a floor area of 1,940 square meters more or less, was constructed thereon. In 1947, EO 93 dissolved NWC with NDC taking over its assets and functions. In 1948, Cebu City assessed and collected from NDC real estate taxes on the land and the warehouse thereon. By the first quarter of 1970, a total of P100,316.31 was paid by NDC, 11 of which only P3,895.06 was under protest. NDC asked for a full refund, contending that the land and the warehouse belonged to the Republic and therefore exempt from taxation. The CFI ordered Cebu City to refund to NDC the real estate taxes paid by it. Issue 1. The NDC is exempt from real estate taxes held no ratio. As already adverted to, one of the principal issues before us is the interpretation of a provision of the assessment law, the precursor of the then Real Property Tax Code and the Local Government Code, where ownership of the property and not use is the test of tax liability. Section 3 PAR of the assessment law, on which NDC claims real estate tax exemption, provides Section 3. Property exempt from tax. The exemptions shall be as follows: property owned by the United States of America, the Commonwealth of the Philippines, any province, city, municipality and municipal district. The same opinion of NDC was passed upon in National Development Co. v. Province of Nueva Ecija, where we held that its properties were not comprehended in Sector 3, PAR, of the assessment law. Commonwealth Act No. 182, which created NDC, contains no provision exempting it from the payment of real estate tax on properties it may acquire. NDC does not come under classification of municipal or public corporation in the sense that it may sue and be sued in the same manner as any other private corporations, and in this sense, it is an entity different from the government. NPC may be sued without its consent, and is subject to taxation. That plaintiff herein does not exercise sovereign powers and, hence, cannot invoke the exemptions thereof, but is an agency for the performance of purely corporate, proprietary, or business functions, is apparent from its organic act. We find no compelling reason why the foregoing ruling, although referring to lands which would eventually be transferred to private individuals, should not apply equally to this case. NDC cites Board of Assessment Appeals, Province of Laguna v. CTA and National Waterworks and Sewerage Authority. In that case, the properties of NWSA, a GOCC, were exempt from real estate tax because Sector 3, PAR, of RA 470 did not distinguish between those possessed by the government in sovereign/governmental/political capacity and those in private proprietary patrimonial character. The conflict between NDC v Nueva Ecija, Supra, and BAAVCTA and NWSA, is more superficial than real. The NDC decision speaks of properties owned by NDC, while the BAA ruling concerns properties belonging to the Republic. In the case at bar, no similar statement appears in the stipulation of facts, hence, ownership of subject properties should first be established. 4. While it may be stated that the Republic owns NDC, it does not necessarily follow that properties owned by NDC are also owned by Republic in the same way that stockholders are not ipso facto owners of the properties of their corporation. The Republic may form a corporation with personality and existence distinct from its own. The separate personality allows a GOCC to hold and possess properties in its own name and, thus, permit greater independence and flexibility in its operations. It may, therefore, be stated that tax exemption of property owned by the Republic of the Philippines refers to properties owned by the government and by its agencies which do not have separate and distinct personalities. The foregoing discussion does not mean that because NDC, like most GOCCs, engages in commercial enterprises, all properties of the government and its unincorporated agencies possessed in propriety character are taxable. Similarly, in the case at bar, NDC proceeded on the premise that the BAA ruling declared all properties owed by GOCCs as properties in the name of the Republic, hence, exempt under Sector 3 of the Assessment Law. Issue 1. The property is exempt from payment of real estate taxes. Held yes ratio, to come within the ambit of the exemption provided in Art. 3, PAR. Of the Assessment Law, it is important to establish that the property is owned by the government or its unincorporated agency, and once government ownership is determined, the nature of the use of the property, whether for proprietary or sovereign purposes, becomes immaterial. What appears to have been ceded to NWC, in the case before us, is merely the administration of the property while the government retains ownership of what has been declared reserved for warehousing purposes under Proclamation No. 430. A reserved land is defined as a public land that has been withheld or kept back from sale or disposition. The land remains absolute property of the government. The government does not part with its title by reserving them, but simply gives notice to all the world that it desires them for a certain purpose. Absolute disposition of land is not implied from reservation, it merely means a withdrawal of a specified portion of the public domain from disposal under the land laws and the appropriation thereof, for the time being, to some particular use or purpose of the general government. As its title remains with the Republic, the reserved land is clearly recovered by the tax exemption provision. Cebu nevertheless contends that the reservation of the property in favor of NWC or NDC is a form of disposition of public land which subjects the recipient to real estate taxation under Sector 115 of the Public Land Act. The essential question then is whether lands reserved pursuant to Sector 83 are comprehended in Sector 115 and, therefore, taxable. Section 115 of the Public Land Act should be treated as an exception to Art. 3, PAR. Of the Assessment Law. While ordinary public lands are tax exempt because title thereto belongs to the Republic, Sector 115 subjects them to real estate tax even before ownership thereto is transferred in the name of the beneficiaries. Seconds. 115 comprehends 3 modes of disposition of lands under the Public Land Act, to wit, homestead, concession, and contract. Liability to real property taxes under Sector 115 is predicated on filing of homestead application, approval of concession and signing of contract. Significantly, without these words, the date of the accrual of the real estate tax would be indeterminate. Since NDC is not a homesteader and no contract was signed, it would appear, then, that reservation under seconds 83, being a unilateral act of the President, falls under concession. Concession as a technical term under the Public Land Act is synonymous with alienation and disposition, and is defined in seconds 10 as any of the methods authorized by this Act for the acquisition, lease, use, or benefit of the lands of the public domain other than timber or mineral lands. Logically, where seconds 115 contemplates authorized methods for acquisition, lease, use, or benefit under the Act, the taxability of the land would depend on whether reservation under Sector 83 is one such method of acquisition, etc. Tersely put, is reservation synonymous with alienation? Or, are the two terms antithetical and mutually exclusive? Indeed, reservation connotes retention, while concession signifies cession. Section 8 and 88 of the Public Land Act provide that reserved lands are excluded from that may be subject of disposition. As we view it, the effect of reservation under seconds 83 is to segregate a piece of public land and transform it into non-alienable or non-disposable under the Public Land Act. Section 115, on the other hand, applies to disposable public lands. Clearly, therefore, seconds 115 does not apply to lands reserved under Sector 83. Consequently, the subject reserved public land remains tax-exempt. However, as regards the warehouse constructed on a public reservation, a different rule should apply because the exemption of public property from taxation does not extend to improvements on the public lands made by preemptioners, homesteaders, and other claimants, or occupants, at their own expense, and these are taxable by the state. Consequently, the warehouse constructed on the reserved land by NWC, indeed, should properly be assessed real estate tax as such improvement does not appear to belong to the Republic. Since the reservation is exempt from realty tax, the erroneous tax payments collected by Cebu should be refunded to NDC. This is in consonance with Sector 40, PAR, of the former Real Property Tax Code, which exempted from taxation real property owned by the Republic of the Philippines or any of its political subdivisions, as well as any GOCC so exempt by its charter. As regards the requirement of paying under protest before judicial recourse, Cebu argues that in any case NDC is not entitled to refund because Sector 75 of RA 3857, the revised charter of the City of Cebu, requires payment under protest before resorting to judicial action for tax refund. That it could not have acted on the first demand letter of NDC of May 20, 1970 because it was sent to the city assessor and not to the city treasurer, that, consequently, there having been no appropriate prior demand, resort to judicial remedy is premature, and, that even on the premise that there was proper demand, NDC has yet to exhaust administrative remedies by way of appeal to the Department of Finance and/or Auditor General before taking judicial action. NDC does not agree. It disputes the applicability of the payment under protest requirement is Sector 75 of the revised Cebu City Charter because the issue is not the validity of tax assessment but recovery of erroneous payments under Arts. 2154 and 2155 of the Civil Code. It cites the case of East Asiatic City of Davao, which held that where the tax is unauthorized, it is not a tax assessed under the charter of the City of Davao, and for that reason no protest is necessary for a claim or demand for its refund. In the case at bar, petitioner, therefore, cannot be said to have waived his right. He had no knowledge of the fact that it was exempted from payment of the realty tax under Commonwealth Act No. 470. Payment was made through error or mistake, in the honest belief that petitioner was liable, and therefore could not have been made under protest, but with complete voluntariness. In any case, a taxpayer should not be held to suffer loss by his good intention to comply with what he believes is his legal obligation, where such obligation does not really exist. The fact that petitioner paid through error or mistake, and the government accepted the payment, gave rise to the application of the principle of solutio in debiti under Article 2154 of the new Civil Code, which provides that if something is received when there is no right to demand it, and it was unduly delivered through mistake, the obligation to return it arises. There is, therefore, created a tie or juridical relation in the nature of solutio in debiti, expressly classified as quasi-contract under Section 2, Chapter I of Title 17 CC. The quasi-contract of solutio in debiti is one of the concrete manifestations of the ancient principle that no one shall enrich himself unjustly at the expense of another. Hence, it would seem undefeating for the government, that knowing it has no right at all to collect or to receive money for alleged taxes paid by mistake, it would be reluctant to return the same. Petitioner is not unsatisfied in the assessment of its property. Assessment having been made, it paid the real estate taxes without knowing that it is